Hey guys, this is Remy. I'm at Rocky Mountain Tattoo where we're making the Remy Show podcast. It's going to be about body modification, tattoos, piercings, and a little bit of everything else. At first, it's just going to be me talking to the shop manager here, Kevin. But if you guys end up enjoying these conversations, I'll open it up to some more guests. So, hope you enjoy the show.
Perfect.
So, how you been since all this quarantine stuff started?
It's been interesting, you know. I've never, since I was 14 years old, I don't think I've ever been off work.
Yeah.
I was even trying to think back to, vacations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't think of anything because, even when I used to take holidays and stuff like that, when I was younger, I was in bands and stuff. So I would use my holiday days to go play gigs.
Yeah.
So, you're going to go drive forever and then play. And
Yeah.
so it's not really a time off. So it's been weird getting my brain used to not having somewhere to go every day.
Yeah, I didn't. I think the longest I've ever been off was for my wedding.
Yeah.
We took just over 2 weeks off.
Nice.
But it felt like longer than this has felt like.
Really?
Because this has been enforced on me in a way.
Yeah, this wasn't your choice.
Right. It wasn't like happy celebration, you don't go away, or it's not supposed to be, like a celebration, so you're just kind of stuck. So you don't appreciate the days, and they just end up just passing by. And I mean, you try and do the best you can with them, but when you take time off, like you said, usually you'll have things planned that you do with it.
Yep.
Like
Accomplished.
being band or something, right? I'll go to, I went to Ontario once to meet someone. When I was dating a girl long distance, I took a week and a half off for that. So that time always ends up really purposeful, and you're getting things done. Like if I take time off from work to get my hand tattooed or something, right? There's a point there.
Yeah.
It becomes more about that thing. It's less about I have time off to relax, right?
Yeah.
So then it's almost like work in a way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, you have a
Right.
reason.
I don't know if I would ever just take a big block of time off without something to do with it.
That's one of the things that's weird about this is I think I will.
You do? Yeah.
I think there's some value to it. I mean, obviously, if in an ideal sense, I would go travel or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I'm noticing is my brain has gotten a bit more perspective by being allowed to kind of just be still for a minute, rather than having to always be thinking about X, Y, or Z, that kind of thing. I think ideally it would be something I could kind of see it as what teachers get to do with the summer.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know they do things during the summer and they plan out their curriculums or whatever. But to have this set of okay, this is 2 months of a kind of you're stepping off the gas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Clear the queue.
Yeah.
Reset the batteries.
I think there is something kind of... it sucks that it was enforced on us and we didn't get to choose it.
Mm-hmm.
But, having experienced it, depending on how you want to look at it, because if you're on a day that you're not feeling so good, you're everything sucks, the life is horrible. But, if you're in a good state, I think giving yourself a little bit of breathing room throughout the year, I think could be very valuable.
Well, I will say, when I started getting my hand, the fingers blacked out last year, I found the hidden benefit. Because generally, I'll take time off, maybe 5-6 days off in summer, and you expect to get a few days where you can relax, just a few.
Yeah.
And then you don't end up getting any because
you just do stuff.
Well, yeah, people want to make plans with you, and you end up being busy. So when I got my fingers blacked out the first time last year, my left hand, I ended up basically just laying in bed for 5-6 days, something like that. And it was way more than I expected it to be because I've had my hand done, and it was not even anywhere close to that.
And it was because of the fingers, right?
Yeah. So when I got my fingers done, different ball game. Shut down. That's it. You're not doing anything. You can't. Your hand is this for 5-6 days.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
It hasn't not been that way in any time that I've done it. So that's the operation, right?
Yeah.
Like Lee said, it was like a truck ran my hand over or something the first time. It was just
it was a balloon.
Yeah. So the hidden benefit to that was realizing there's something to not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not even like you're laying in bed and you're playing a video game or something. Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing, you can barely read because you
Yeah.
can barely hold anything. I mean, you're using your one hand to do everything. Even
Yeah.
typing becomes more of a challenge.
Yeah.
So you avoid doing things. You just lay there. It's almost meditative.
Yeah.
Right? And you get time to think about things that have been bothering you and process them and
Yeah.
different things like that.
Yeah.
And when I went back to work after that, I said to my coworker, yeah, it was the best thing I've done for myself in a long time because I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Because normally people would go, well, you're just at home, like you can do this, so you can take the care of this thing for me or whatever, right? You'll have chores that you've got to do. No, I had to let the dishes pile up and all different things, right? All of my share of the chores at home. I just couldn't do any of it.
Yep.
And I had a good reason that I couldn't do any of it.
Yeah.
And it ended up being like amazingly good for me.
Yeah.
And I think now I'm gonna want to do that kind of extreme tattoo work just as a way to get that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have that that reason, you'll always get up and do something.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Seems like.
Yeah. I mean, and that's one of those things that even through this, 2-ish months that I've been off.
Yeah.
Like, those days where I can actually let myself think about things. Because, like, eventually you run out of distraction, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that's a little bit hard about when this started. Like, I was like, okay, I'm just going to fill my time with as much stuff as I can.
Yeah.
As much drawing, as much whatever. Creating a garden. And, like, eventually you run out of TV shows. You're like, I am good with not doing any of this stuff right now. So you have to kind of just sit.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that, like, I would start doing, just like sit outside and just do nothing.
Yeah.
Like don't like maybe have a coffee, but like sit.
And almost go, this is a thing you can do.
Yeah. Legit. And like just notice the world around you, you know what I mean? Like it's something that I think, I mean, all Eastern philosophies tend to value something like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even the Western philosophies, if you look at what they talk about, they value the same thing, meditation, but they just call it something else.
Yeah.
And so I think that's like forced meditation. I think people find hard when they've got their engine revved up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like when you've got a cell phone, and that's where like I've always had this mental picture of like, oh man, it'd be so brilliant to go like be a monk at a monastery. And it's like, I think the thing that fantasy drives towards for people, which is like you get to rev the engine down.
Yeah.
Because I think we're always just spinning a little too high.
At least a little too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's how productive can you be in a day?
Yeah.
That's generally what you're thinking.
Well, the problem is we put money on our time.
Yeah.
Right? And like not that system isn't working for us. We're doing fine. Canada's doing pretty good. But like dollars to time, it doesn't equate out.
No.
Like in your actual value of like if you're trying to give out portions of your life.
Yeah.
It's like, well, maybe that's not right. But to accomplish a job, to accomplish a task, like those things are valuable. But I like, I think back to certain jobs like when I was younger and I was getting paid $5 an hour to sit at a mini golf stand.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you've ever seen someone who sits at a mini golf stand. You don't do anything.
No. I had one job like that when I was young. I took a job as a parking guide for the fair.
Yep. And same thing. Sit here.
And whatever you do,
Yep.
no one's listening anyway.
Oh, 100%.
And so you're just standing there with a sign, waving your arms every now and then.
Yeah.
And getting flipped off by people.
Yep.
And I thought, this isn't the worst way to make money.
But at the same time, like, it is.
Yeah.
It is the worst way because it's like.
It is the worst way. You're
like,
right.
How? Like, what are you doing?
Nothing.
You know what I mean?
There's no purpose.
And that's where like. The thing that dawned on me was like I was walking into a store and there was a lady outside of the store that it was one of those outdoor sections of a garden center.
Yeah.
And she was out there standing there telling people that were coming in where the carts were. And I was just thinking, okay, this person's getting paid.
Yeah.
however much. Well, now in Canada or Alberta, $15 an hour.
Yep.
So I'm giving this person 3 times what I was getting paid to sit at a golf stand to say the same line over and over and again, which is, carts are in there.
Yeah.
They're not out here.
Well,
Carts are in there. And it was like, what?
The one I always get is when you go to Walmart and there's the person in the cage.
Yeah.
And they're screaming at you to help me get out of here. Like, this is real life.
Yeah.
This is actually happening.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
this person's
day by day we are doing that.
This person is paying their mortgage.
Yeah.
This way.
Yep.
Acting like they're trapped in this weird cage.
Yeah.
Screaming at people.
Yeah.
And then beside him is a greeter.
Yeah.
And then there's a guy at the door too.
Yep.
And it's like, there's $45 an hour there.
Yep.
Just in this one spot.
Yep.
Of people just standing.
And like people that assumedly could accomplish something, right?
Yeah.
Like there is something with, now granted, okay, yeah, there might be an argument for people that might not have the ability to do something like that.
Oh, for sure.
You know, if that person was to take that time, that
Yeah.
8 hours a day or whatever they're doing, and put it towards something, could it be better? Could it
Yeah.
be better for us, for them, and you know, you just have a sign on the thing.
I just think that sometimes it's like these places just come up with jobs for people who can't do better or
And that's
or
fair
won't
enough.
do better.
You know what I mean?
Right? Like
That's
it's a make work
that's
program.
that's entirely fair.
Yeah. Like we have where I work, we have like outreach programs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we'll have different people come in from different countries and stuff, and
Yep.
they're learning skills and stuff. And I don't think you would have those people if they weren't government supported
Yeah.
in some way.
Well, but then, you know, that might be their pursuing a task and bettering themselves and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Like that might be within that realm. Like obviously there's all types of different people. Not everybody's an Elon Musk sending people out in
Right.
space kind of thing. So like, you know, to give people purpose and opportunity, I think is a valuable thing for sure. But like, you know, the part of me just thinks like you're also robbing them of, if you're not in that sphere, you're getting robbed of your time.
Mhm.
Now, granted, you're getting paid a small sum of money for your time, sure, but you know, could you be put to better use?
What I've always found interesting, it's my first ever job, not where I work like now, because I've been working where I work now forever.
Yeah.
But the first ever kitchen I worked in, I met a dishwasher who had everything down to the particulars. Like every part of his job was so regimented, and he was so passionate about the way he did it.
Yeah.
And like, it made such a profound effect on me because
yeah.
I thought, this guy is a career, like lifelong dishwasher. This is
Yeah.
what he will do forever.
And he's gonna kill it.
And he's just so meticulously passionate about it,
Yeah.
but not in a happy way. Like it was where if you did anything wrong around him, he
Yeah.
would instruct you how you were doing things. Like he was the most passionate person I've ever seen, and it was about the most entry level position I've ever seen. And,
Yeah.
and that taught me a lot. Like
Yeah.
I've come back to that a lot over the years. Whenever you're thinking about doing something that's a little beneath you or something, or you get that mindset and you're like, no, man, like none of this is like there's jobs that need to be done no matter
Yeah.
what, right?
Well, this has proved that, right?
Yeah.
We've got the essential job thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got it told to us exactly how it is.
And even though you might not want to do it, someone has to.
Yeah.
We were talking about universal basic income and how it might free up people to pursue what they're passionate about.
Yeah.
Do you think this guy ever sat at home and thought about, one day I'm going to be a dishwasher.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be a dishwasher. And those dirty dishes, they're never going to see anything like me. I'm going to hit those.
I wonder if you could do like, I mean, this is not to be like, I know the idea of universal basic income would be kind of more broad, but like, say you're getting into an essential field, and an essential field that's not going to pay you, not going to be able to afford to pay you of a certain amount.
Yeah.
Could you apply universal basic income to make those jobs more attractive?
So it blankets you a bit, like it
Yeah.
gives you a 40%, and then you can get to 100.
Yeah,
kind of
because
thing.
like, you know, the manufacturer that needs you to work there, they might not be able to pay you enough to make the job enticing to the average human. But if all of us decide that all of these jobs are essential, could we not agree that universal basic income or have some sort of supplementation that makes that type of profession more fiscally, like, because that whole $70,000 rule or whatever, right? Where it's like you get to a certain point where all of that is increased happiness and then you're just good. Like everything after that's not going to really add to your happiness. Like, could those people be...
But are most people at that point anyway? Like, if you work full time and you do a job that is a bit above that station, even then, I don't know if we're all at that point now. So how much work do guys like you and me need to do to get there, or are we there? Like my point is probably that I've always seen that number as a little higher than I see it personally.
Well, I think it's like, because what it translates out to is usable income, right? Because if you make 70 grand a year, you're getting taxed X amount, so you're actually making what, 43,
right,
45.
So I am not quite at that number, but I live fairly comfortably, and I think that a lot of people live beyond their means.
Yeah, for sure.
So how much money do we need to give people before they actually have any money? We need to give them an abundance, right?
The problem, that's a mentality idea, though, right? Because like those types of people are the guys that are currently going to go bankrupt because they lived outside of their means when they have millions of dollars.
Exactly.
Right? Like you can't cause someone to be able to be fiscally responsible when you have an abundance either. And that's where, like, you see with mismanaged companies, right? Like when you have billions or millions or whatever number you want to give it in profit is above your costs. Like your operating costs have happened. Your business was taken care of for the year. So now all of a sudden your profit gets mismanaged and then you go bankrupt because of why?
I've seen it where I'll be making the same amount of money as someone right next to me, and that person is getting pay advances and stuff and can barely make a sandwich for themselves. Yeah. Right? They've got almost nothing to their name. Yeah. And I bought a house on the same. Yeah. Like it's I don't know how much money you'd need to give people before these things wouldn't happen.
Oh, right? I don't think you can.
Exactly.
I mean, I've seen it with people that get money. Like if you have a bad, because all it does is it puts the zeros bigger, right? Like rather than buying too many $40 shoes, you're buying too many $400 shoes. Yeah. And then like it still is the same habits. You just end up tacking on zeros to the end of it. The dollar value doesn't seem to be the thing that matters. It's like we have to kind of be able to teach that and then give proper amount of money.
I get it all the time. People will, especially with my Instagram, people will, how do you afford all of that? Like it's this weird juxtaposition.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand how you can afford to get tattooed every week. Yeah. They do think that you're rolling in it for that reason.
So it's weird because I get it both ways. Well, that guy doesn't have a job. He must be on welfare. But
if you're covered in tattoos, you have a job. I'm sorry.
But then it's like...
That's how it works.
But then I must be rich. So the idea is, oh, he must be, what do they call it? Trustafarian. Right, yeah. Trust fund. Yeah. Like I'm wealthy or something. Well, no. My father was a deadbeat he's literally dead. He took his own life. Yeah. My mom was in debt her whole life. Yeah. And so was my stepdad. Yeah. I have no money from any of these people. Yep. I don't have any other family. Yeah. And I'm not woe is me. No. It's just I'm just a guy that works and saves his money. Yeah. Like that's it. I bought a house when I was 25. I didn't really start getting tattooed until I had a house. Like I had tattoos, right? I had more than most people. Yeah. But what I mean to say by that is I didn't start getting tattooed as in once a week, twice a week, until I had my ducks in a row, right? Until I had a healthy bubble to sit on to where if something happens, I'm good for a few months. Yeah. That's when I started getting tattooed all the time. So that's when I had room to wiggle, right? It wasn't because I make a ton of money or anything like that. I make a decent amount of money. Like, for what I look like, it's kind of hard to make more without getting into something like tattooing or something like
within
that.
The industry.
Yeah, I basically need an industry job to get better. But my bills are pretty low, and I don't have any vices. And
that's a big one, right? Like vices are the thing that can eat up your money faster than anything.
If you get into hard drugs or smoking or drinking, right? And like, fair enough. I've always said my opinion on anything like that is, as long as you can take care of it and it doesn't bother anyone else, you do whatever you want.
100%, yeah.
Right? We had a guy at work once that had a really bad drug problem, but he was a great worker and a nice guy, and some people figured it out, and my response was the same. As long as he can take care of his own stuff, it's not my problem. Like,
Yeah.
if it starts imposing on anyone around him, then it is. But that's the same way I feel about tattooing too. As long as it's not hurting anyone else,
Yep.
what's the problem?
Well, I think you see it slowly moving there socially. Like, I mean, obviously we legalized weed.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the first step towards that. Tattooing is becoming way more prevalent.
Oh, for sure.
Like, big leaders of big businesses are covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
And
I think the more you move it, like, I feel like sometimes, and I'm not saying, oh, I'm this great example or something, but I think that if there were more people just living normal lives and going really, really out on the fringes and showing that that's possible,
Yep.
that's how you drag the line further.
Of course.
Because my bosses told me quite a while ago that before me, because I didn't start with all these tattoos, I had piercings, lots of piercings. But before me, they were hesitant to hire people with lots of piercings and stuff. But because of how solid I've been for them for years, that has changed their perspective on that. They brought more people in with tattoos and piercings visible. There's now even girls in the dining room with some tattoos visible and colored hair and stuff.
Yeah.
When I started working there, and even up to about 5 years ago, that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's just my individual contribution, but multiple people in multiple companies doing that move the line for each company, and then as a whole, it kind of moves forward together, I think.
Well, one of the things that I've always been confused as to why I mean, obviously it's probably with the history of tattooing, being a like prison or Navy or that kind of thing, like, the origins of it kind of put things in people's minds that these are the way that it is. But for me, with the way that you see tattooing now and the level that it's at, it's that person is really investing in themselves. Like, they're literally putting money into their body.
Yep.
Which in every other area we reward that. If you get fancy hair, if you have nice clothes, if you take care of yourself, if you eat healthy, if you go to the gym, like if you get plastic surgery. Plastic surgery is like
it's all
way
body
more,
modification.
It's all body modification.
Yep.
You're investing in the aesthetic of yourself.
Yep.
Which to me is like, they always say that with savings accounts. Like, savings accounts are like, if you're investing in your future, you believe you have a future. And to me, like, if you're investing in your body, you are believing that your body has value, A, and that you're investing in the future with it, right? And that's something that I think it shows someone's mindset also, right? Like, they're valuing themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that, like, I wish more people would see, and I'm sure it'll take time, but I wish more people would see the industry like that, because, like, it is an investment of time, investment of money, an investment in pain, and you are trying to technically, in your mind, better yourself.
So a couple things is, for me, when I was younger, just getting a couple piercings, even just having 3 or 4 piercings in my face, no tattoos, maybe colored hair, whatever. I had a mohawk.
Yep.
Used to see a lot more violent opposition. Like, people would scream at you, throw things at you, get bullied in school, whatever. These days, when I go out, much more extreme look. People will, more often than not, be curious.
Yeah.
Right? It's not even, and especially with black tattoos now.
Yep.
But no, let's deal with the old tattoos I used to have. I got it too. But it's not coming from that place of necessarily of hatred.
Yep.
Not in public, anyway. Online, it is.
Yeah.
Online, it's
a whole nother world, right?
Yeah, that's not real. Because none of that stuff that happens online happens in real life. I think sometimes people imagine that it would. But my lived experience, like, Sarah and I, we go for walks quite often.
Yeah.
Like, once a night kind of thing, usually. And I get so many people are like, oh, that's really cool. Or how did you do that? And we had a security guard come out of London Road Market the other day, and we're like, "What's this about?" And he goes, "Your tattoos are really neat. I've never seen such a huge project." And he's like, "Oh, is it like that ever?" And I go, "Yeah." And then Sarah goes, "What people don't see is he had a whole other suit underneath of this before." And the guy's like, "Wow, that's amazing. How many hours?" And like, that's the kind of thing I get these days.
Yeah.
Before it was a lot of like dirty looks, sneers, and like people threw change out of the window at me one time. Like, so I've been in this for about 20 years. Roughly.
Sorry, back up quickly. Threw change at you?
I was with a girl. I think it was 21, and it was a different look I had. But it doesn't matter to me because it's all it is looking different.
Yeah.
It's all the same. So back then it was. I think I was wearing eyeliner and a trench coat, and I looked gothic or whatever.
That was
right?
the year.
That was me.
The time, right? That was edgy in the time.
Yeah, and I'm still that person. It's modern now, right? My sensibility has always been like gothic, like punk, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, these guys threw change at me out of a moving car, and I wasn't as restrained as I am these days.
Yeah.
I was upset because some of it hit the girl I was with.
Oh yeah.
So I charged after them, caught up to my red light, and threw something at them. I can't remember what, but they drove off. They ran the light, and they're screaming at me and whatever. Like I said, I was a lot younger then.
Yep.
I probably wouldn't do that now, but then again, that doesn't happen anymore either.
Yeah. Well, they probably wouldn't do that now.
Right.
That's the weirdest part about that. I'm always confused by that knee-jerk reaction to like accost someone that's just different than you.
Yeah.
Like
I still get that stuff online. I get the equivalent of that in text from people online. People will come in with the most heinous stuff.
Yeah.
Like I had a guy one time tell me, since I'm too stupid to regret what I've done, he hopes I get cancer so life will sort me out.
Oh,
that was the worst one but that was just one part of what he said.
Yeah.
I checked my message requests because I always try and get through all my DMs because sometimes there's people in there with legitimate questions.
Yeah, sure.
I get a lot of people asking me about ear stretching or how I stretch my lip or different things about black work and stuff.
Yeah.
So I try and get to all my DMs. The one morning there was, and not to say this is an isolated incident because there's lots of hateful messages, but one time there was 4 messages and they were all a couple paragraphs long, just straight like hatred. Like I was like cleaning out a toilet or something. It was just like the most malicious messages you've ever seen. And one of the lines was that he hoped I get cancer so I will die because I'm too stupid to regret my mistakes. And
wow.
It was just, wow, that was offensive.
Like one of the
people are awful. Like and they would never say it to you in person.
No. Well, but like they don't have
imagine?
they don't have the ability to like there's not. This is one of the things, like I worked in retail for a long time. I've had to deal with a lot of upset people.
Yeah.
And they're behind, like when they have keyboard confidence is very different than when you bring them in eye to eye, right? And the thing I've always known is that it's really hard to yell at someone with eye contact. Unless you're on a different type of, unless something is flowing through you. Like if you're on a drug that allows you to disassociate and you're not that mechanism.
Like social media?
well, that takes away the eye contact for sure. But if you're in person with someone, like that's where if you see someone flipping out on someone that they can see in their eyes and it's like unruly, they're on something. There's something going on in their brain biochemically because it's restricting that empathy in their eyes. Or they're a sociopath. Those exist too. But like you need to be able to look someone dead in the eyes, because anytime I had someone coming in to yell at me, that was one of my favorite games, was like, yeah, come in and yell at me and then feel like a fool because you're going to meet eyes with me. I'm going to be reasonable and we're going to figure this thing out, because it's not, when you don't have the human element, you can be wishing cancer on someone.
Yeah.
But like if he had to sit here with you and talk to you, none of that feeling would happen.
Well, and it's not like, because some people will go, oh, well, if someone talked to me that way, I would knock them out. And it's not even that.
No, it's not that.
When would you ever have the 20 minutes it would take to sit and say that to someone?
Yeah.
Like 4 messages long.
Yeah. I've written this out for you.
4 paragraphs,
Yeah.
and you're just going to stumble into all of this, right?
Mhm.
You wouldn't sit there and meticulously speak
No.
this
Well,
much
hopefully not.
without me taking a pause,
Yeah.
without stopping to take a drink,
Yeah.
right? There'd be all these interruptions in that. You would never, ever, in any other way, be able to say this much
Yeah.
to someone
Yeah.
uninterrupted.
Yeah. Free flow.
It's like, have you ever watched, like, there's YouTubers that'll do, like, monologues, right? They'll just speak for 20 minutes.
Yep.
And sometimes it's like, the problem with this is no
one's interjecting.
No one's interjecting, so
Yeah.
it gets echo chambery.
Yeah.
It's like you're sniffing your own farts,
Yeah.
right? It's all what you think.
Yeah.
No one else gets to say, and then it's supposed to be taken as verbatim. Like this is just truth because you say so. Like
Yep.
there needs to be room for pause in there. Someone needs to interject and go, but what about,
That's the marketplace of ideas, right?
Yeah.
Like if there's no marketplace, if you're standing in that store alone, it's just the one idea, and that's it. You got nothing to challenge you. You got no way of learning, basically, because you only get to you are God in that situation. You are the only thing
Yeah.
that's giving you any input of information.
And you mentioned about being in retail. I think that it's a lesser drug, but it's the same drug because the customer's always right.
Yeah.
Right? So what if this guy's wrong? He's paying you. You're standing here. You're supposed to help him. You're being paid to help him. So you kind of have to listen to his nonsense.
Well,
right?
the thing that I would always say is that I don't tolerate someone yelling at my staff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you could be right, but you don't get to yell it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like you, and not to mention,
How about be a decent person?
the customer's always right thing. A lot of people don't understand what that means. Like, the customer thinks they're right, and a lot of times we'll be able to get their way.
Yeah.
But it will be done the way the company can do it. Right? Like, because like, if you're the customer and you want to just go have everything for free, you're not right. You get to have it within the limitations of what the company is setting on you. You have to exchange the money for the thing that you're going to give. So it's like, you're right, but within the restrictions of whatever the business is saying.
So in my experience in restaurants, I've always thought that sometimes people come in not to get a meal or a drink. They come in, pay their money so that someone will have to deal with them.
Probably,
right?
yeah.
I've had a rough day. Here's my $10 cover charge. Now I'm going to treat you like crap.
Yeah, because I got
And-
no one else I can treat
and
like crap.
you are paid to listen to me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like, oh, I've come in to get a meal. Like I said, it's I've come in because I've had a bad day and now I want to take that out on someone.
Yeah.
And because these people have to deal with me and I have no one else in my life. Like if I were to do this to my wife, she would walk out the
Yep.
door, right?
There would be consequence.
Right.
But here, I've paid you my $10 for my ability to yell at you or whatever it is.
Yeah, you have to deal with my crap.
Yeah.
Why? Because here's my money, right?
Yeah.
It's like, unfortunately, that $10 doesn't entitle you to treat another human being like crap.
Well, and we don't have any real way of policing that at this point.
No.
Like, I mean, when you look at that Black Mirror, do you watch that Black Mirror episode?
Yeah, I've watched all of them.
Yeah,
but,
the social like score thing.
yeah, the social score.
is terrifying. But like
Isn't there something like that in China?
that's what they're doing right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which
I haven't looked into it, but someone told me that they have it.
well, that's their like I believe they do facial tracking that reads the person that shows their score.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the limitations are for that at this point. Like because the fear is that it would be like, okay, you can't go get groceries now because you're this low of a score. But like the real thing that's scary to people, which I think is always scary, is like who is the person that's setting the score? Because like in that Black Mirror thing, she's getting wrongfully scored low.
Yeah.
Right? She thinks she's doing well. She's getting wrongfully scored low, and then she's just going to keep getting lower and lower, which is like we have no ability to control.
Who programmed the algorithm?
Well, and you see that with lots of stuff like Yelp. I'm not going to go on Yelp to look at a restaurant. I'm not, because like I've never written a Yelp review.
Yeah.
Have you ever written a Yelp
No.
review?
No, I have no
Okay.
desire.
But I would trust your opinion over Yelp.
Yeah.
because I know you've never written a Yelp review.
Yeah, I don't. And my opinion on reviews anyway is, if you don't like a place, you don't have to do that. You just don't go back.
I think the problem is like you don't. The amount of, like, it's 25-1 how many people are going to report negative to positive. Right?
Yeah.
So
it's not an honest reading.
It's always going to skew to the negative, which is unfortunate because, like, if you have, like, say you've got a rating of 3 stars, right?
Yeah.
Because you have 6 people that were super mad and they gave you 1 or 2 stars, and then you have a few people that gave you 5 stars.
And then how many people had a decent experience and just didn't care?
Yeah,
right?
how many 4.5s were out there that would never rate it 4.5?
Yeah, we talked a bit about this same idea about nostalgia and being only nostalgic for decent days and the worst days.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't think about how many decent experiences we have very often.
Yeah. The middle ground we never talk about.
So how many times will you go out and have a decent meal and it leaves you with no impression? Right. Only that worst meal will make an impression, and that's going to be the one that these people will write a review over. They won't tell you about the 20 times they were there where they had a good meal or whatever experience, anything. Same thing with even tattooing, right? Yep. These tattoos were good. These tattoos were good. Oh, wow, that one was terrible. Oh, I got to go tell the world about that. Like, it's the worst example that we always remember. We never remember the decent examples.
Well, I also think, like, what I see is, like, so many people will be more inclined to say good things to the people, right? Like, to the, so, like, since I work the front desk, I get to deal with everybody's, well, happiness and unhappiness. But people that are going to say good things and are happy are usually here in person, and they're going to tell me, man, this is so great, blah, blah, blah. Like, and I'll have people take me aside and say, like, man, they just killed it, blah, blah, this is great. But that person's not going to go back and write a review.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, I don't know. There's something, it's like the platforms are made wrong. It's like the platform is only made to avoid a bad experience, right? Like, if you're searching Yelp, it's like, okay, I want to make sure that I don't get a bad experience. Yeah. Is the mindset going into it? Like, if you're looking at a restaurant and you're like, oh, I don't want to have a bad piece of pizza, so I got to make sure I got something that says it's got a good piece of pizza. It's like we're trying to avoid the negative so much that nobody's really saying if there's positive.
Right. It's just about escaping the bad, not about looking for the good.
Which
right?
I think comes down to we're a human being. That's how we're wired. You know, if Jim died from a tiger over there in that forest, let's not go into that forest. Yeah. Because Jim died in there.
Well, I've seen some proactive approaches to what you're saying. So skip the dish when you get a meal and skip the dish. They automatically have the thing up when you look at your phone for a review, like thumbs up on delivery time, how was the food, all these. I think there's like 5 of them. Yep. So they try and force feed a positive feedback. Yep. And it's really low effort. I just had my roof done recently, and I had an automatic email from the roofing company asking for a quick review. Yep. So there are ways that people try and force positivity.
But I just think...
But I always think that bothers people. Like, it's like, I don't want to deal with this. I just want to do my thing.
Yeah, if anything, can I review the fact that I didn't like this review? But when you get a bad experience, when someone loses your food or it takes an hour and a half,
can't wait.
It's like, oh, I got to review this. It's like, it's a totally different thing. If it just happens exactly the way that it should, no better. Like, there's nothing magical about it. They didn't leave a mint on your pillow or whatever. Yeah. But, like, if it just gives you what you've expected, you are not giving anything extra.
Yeah, we have no time for run-of-the-mill experiences. Yeah. We don't remember them, and we don't enjoy them that much. Like and we should, because that's most of what our lives are made up of.
Yeah, that's what's most compromised
of
about.
Where we are in life is at 50. Yeah. Like, we only swing to 10 or 100 or whatever so often, and those are the times that we either cherish or hate the most, and then that ends up being what we think about the most. Yeah. Even though most of where we are is level.
I think that's part of the difficulty with like being able to categorize everything or catalog everything in your life in a certain light. Like, social media, you're only going to present your extremes usually, right? Like
Yeah.
even if it is a moderate experience, you're going to present it like it was the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
Like, and then same thing. It's like you see people that are like, oh, I'm having a really hard time, so I have to show how hard of a time I'm having online. So it's like you're only getting to catalog the extremes of your life for people to see, whereas like, most people's lives they're fine, not terrible, not like, because we do live in Canada, right? Like there is something to that, the privilege of being in a place that's pretty good. You know what I mean?
That being said, yeah, I don't think that there is a way for humans not to feel like their life sucks sometimes. It's like it's the old meme of there's a guy with walking around bleeding to death. He got in a terrible accident, and there's a girl who's just lost a nail, and they're in the same type of agony, right? Yeah. I think that is a really, really strong representation of what humans do.
Yeah.
If you've only suffered so much, that amount of suffering is
equates to maximum suffering.
It's still emotionally the same as someone else who's been through a life that's been horrible, and then it takes them more to get to that same point, right?
Well, I mean, it's a similar thing for you in terms of your tattoo pain.
Yep.
Everything's compared to your lower back, really, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
all spectrum.
It's all just like, and every part of the body, like you could sit on your arm all day because you've experienced your lower back.
Yep, exactly. Or like my armpit, or different places that are a little more uncomfortable.
Yep.
Those places give you some kind of frame of reference, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm just getting my arm tattooed, but I've sat through all of my stomach, it's like, well, at least it's not this, right? But maybe someone who's just getting their arm tattooed first time doesn't have that.
They've never had the stomach.
So you can't take that away from that person.
No,
right?
That's your experience at that time, for sure.
Exactly. But like I say, that range of emotion has to exist for each human, and it doesn't matter if you live in Canada or wherever else you live, I think.
Yeah.
But